Friends, welcome to this second day of our 4-day program for the Bandara of Great Master Hazur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh Ji, whose picture is here, who's given me everything that I ever got from anybody, and all I share with you are the teachings that I got from this great master. Yesterday somebody said, how do you know all this? I can show you the source. There it is. The source of all knowledge. I have been given this note. I never use notes, so that's why I threw them away. You might have noticed, I never have used notes to speak, because if I make use of notes or make use of books, I'll go wrong so many times, because books have too many contradictions. When I read books, I'm confused. I don't know how many of you have had that experience. In one place, the book says, you have to do a lot of meditation, you have to work very hard to get any results on the spiritual path. Another place it says, effort does nothing, it's only the grace of a master. There's a straight contradiction. There are so many other contradictory things. In one place it says that you have to decide your destiny and you're responsible for your karma. Another place the book says, there is no karma, soul has no karma, we are beyond it. So how do you reconcile these things? So books are very confusing. The best thing is to go with your own experience, which is straight, direct, and you know it. The personal experience is something which cannot be matched by any number of books. People read books, even the scriptures are books. And we keep on reading them, thinking that by reading them we are going to get something. By repetition of reading of books, we get nothing. It is just like saying I have a guidebook showing what the beautiful atmosphere on the Waikiki beach in Hawaii is. It's paradise. And I keep on reading that guidebook every day, 5 times. I don't reach Hawaii. I don't see the paradise. By reading books, you can get some information. You have to act upon that information to get anything more. And you might understand these contradictions much better if you have experience. All contradictions disappear when you have personal experience. The reason why there are contradictions and the intellect cannot understand those contradictions is that books are talking of different levels of consciousness. And one thing may be true at one level of consciousness and is untrue at another level. Therefore, the books do not clearly explain that. We are constantly reading books at one level and we think that they must make sense, but they don't. When we realize that when we talk of effort, we are talking of the physical plane, where we can make an effort. It does not talk of any other plane. At all other planes, there is no effort. And when we say grace of the master does everything, we realize only at the end that the whole process, including making effort, was grace of the master. That if there was no grace of the master, the very idea of making effort would not come. But we discover these things in due course with experience. So do not substitute experience with reading of books, listening to discourses, or just getting information from outside. Get the real experience from within your own self. All the knowledge, the real knowledge, is inside you and must come from inside you. Oh, by the way, there was a note here. I should refer to that. This is to correct some misinformation. You know, like everybody else, I make a living. I worked in different jobs in my life. I worked for the government in India, and I worked for a business company here. I worked for a company called All Star Foods here. And in the course of my work, I produced some products to sell. It's part of my professional work, nothing to do with spirituality. And I prepared a product called ETIA. ETIA stands for Enhanced Trypsin Inhibitor Additive. Trypsin inhibitor comes from our pancreas in the body and also comes from soybean. So to supplement what comes on the body, and because we don't eat right, I produced a capsule recently, formulated it and made the capsule which All Star Foods is selling. The chairman of that company is sitting at the back, therefore I brought up this subject today. Mr. Jonathan Rabkin is the chairman, he sits at the back, and anybody wants more information can get it. But why I'm bringing up is not to tell you to buy the product, to tell you not to buy if you think it has got spiritual value. Somebody asked me, I believe you have got an ETIA, you take a capsule, you go to Sachkhand. I want to clarify, no. It's good for the body, it's good for the physical systems here, but it's not something that will take you to Sachkhand. So I wanted to make it clear that please do not think just because I am the formulator of a product. That was part of my professional work. I worked for United Nations Children's Fund, and we had to produce something to enhance the value of protein in soybean, and I did that work. So therefore, any physical benefits you want to get, you can ask the chairman or the people who know about it. But do not think that there is any pill made by anybody, least of it by me. Somebody even said, what does ETIA stand for? Does it stand for extraterrestrial internal airways? Do we take it and fly with it? No, please understand that the path of the spiritual destinations we have is internal, it is within us, it is dependent on where we put our attention, and it can be, of course, accessed by anybody, but the method is not through a pill, not through any external thing, not even by any kind of food. Some people think that because the masters have said have vegetarian food, do not kill animals, do not eat killed animals, that therefore the food is something. To such an extent, I went to Japan and I met a Zen Buddhist teacher, and he was telling me that the real secret of spiritual growth is in the food, and it's in rice. That if you have a special kind of rice, you eat that grain of rice. I said, I'd like to have that grain of rice myself. And we took a lot of rice, nothing happened. I said, how can rice give you spiritual advancement? But we carry these things to a limit, and we think that it is the external things that are going to help us get spirituality. Spiritual knowledge comes from within, spiritual experience comes from within, and therefore you must go within to find the spiritual experience. We like to sit outside and chat about it and talk so much about it. We don't go inside. That's the pity of it. That the real secret, the source is somewhere else. They say it is like a musk deer. The deer has a musk in its head. The fragrance of the musk comes from the deer. And the deer thinks it's coming from outside. It runs all around. Ultimately gets so tired it lies down, wondering where the smell is coming from. And the smell is coming from inside the deer. And is running around for nothing. We are doing the same thing. We run around all over. We go to workshops like these. We go to temples. We go to all places of pilgrimage. We go to rivers and mountains. We go to camps. We do all that thing, hoping that we'll find some truth somewhere. And all the time we are carrying the truth with us when we are running around. The truth is lying with us. We carry the real temple with us wherever we run, wherever we are going. The real temple is this body. The real temple in which you can get all the knowledge, have realization of God himself, and understand who the Creator is, understand your relationship with the Creator, is all lying in a small part of this body called the simple head, from the eyes up. Everything is in that. That's the real temple. In the old days, just to remind us what a real temple is, they made temples like the head. The old domes were used. The Buddhist stupas are all made in that form of a dome so that it represents the head. And shaven head, of course. They have a shaven head, and they say everything is inside that. They made, when headdresses came up, many kinds of headdresses people wore, thinking that maybe a pyramid-shaped structure will help them more. They put them on the head. We made pyramids outside, and we sit in the pyramid hoping to get enlightenment there. They began to make churches with steeples and all that based upon the headgear of that time. Look at the history of it. If you understand the history of the structure, the architectural structure of these temples, mosques, everything, this is all built upon the structure of the head. Therefore, you will find that the reality has always been inside us. We've been carrying the temple, the mosque, the church on our head all the time. And yet, we are searching outside and think the outside man-made buildings are containing the truth. The truth contains in the building, not made by man, but made by the Creator, which is a human being. So therefore, you remember this. Of course, buildings serve a purpose. If this building was not there, we would not be able to meet here. We would be meeting in the snow outside. Everybody would be shivering there. But we have a building as a logistical help. We are now having a building. The organization that has brought me here, it makes arrangement for these programs. It's an organization just for logistical purposes. Isha, or Institute for the Study of Human Awareness, is an organization just to arrange these things so we can share this knowledge, share knowledge about awareness. And it doesn't mean that the organization now becomes a spiritual organization. No organization is spiritual. Spirituality is inside us. Organizations are just to organize the ability to meet and exchange information and practice meditation. We are, as many of you know, I had announced earlier, we are building our own auditorium in Bruce, Wisconsin, on the bank of the river Chippewa. We are building that so that we can have meetings in our own place, not run from Masonic Lodge to golf club to other places. We have been running around to different places. As the number of people attending these meetings has grown, we found that the earlier places were too small. So we're trying to make our own place. And I remember it's the same thing that happened in my master's time. In great master's time, as the number of followers grew, I must tell you that when I was first taken to the Dera, the monthly meetings of the great master attracted 20 or 25 people used to come. There used to be a bandara, like we are having a bandara here. And the bandara was on the 29th of December every year, the day great master's master Baba Jaimal Singh passed away. And great master used to be very emotional on that day, only day that I saw him like that. And he remembered his master, all he got was from his master. And the big bandara used to be about 200 people. Almost the same size as the assembly here today. That was called the big bandara. About 200 people coming. Later on, the number increased and the accommodation was not there. So he, to commemorate and to pay tribute to his own master, decided to have a larger auditorium and make a building. And he called that whole complex Dera Baba Jaimal Singh, in honor of his own master. It occurred to me that the same great master who made Dera Baba Jaimal Singh also predicted very clearly in 1936 and 37, wrote letters to several people in this country in 1937, which are available, printed letters, saying the axis of spirituality is going to shift from the east to the west. And it will localize itself in a very big way in the United States of America. He went that far to make a prediction. I see his prediction coming true. Indeed, why am I here? I was born in India, worked in India. When I heard the great master's prediction that the whole show of spirituality is going to take place in the United States of America, I ran here to take a ringside seat and see what the show is like. And that's what I'm doing now. I took a seat here to see, and I can see the great transformation taking place. He also predicted that India and China, which brought so many mystics in the past, will run after material things, will be running after physical affluence and money and all that. A lot of industries will grow there. And the West, tired of all physical money and affluence, will try to look for spirituality, look for peace somewhere else. And that is how spirituality will spread here. His predictions are coming out right now, I can see it. And that's why it occurred to me that on his prediction, this country is going to be a great seat of spirituality. It will attract people. It will be a reverse direction. People have been running from here to India to see Eastern mysticism, Eastern wisdom. People from India and China will be coming here to see Eastern wisdom, I can tell you today. The whole thing is being reversed. So therefore, I had a little experience by listening to the great master and listening to other people about shift of axis of spirituality. I likened it to the shift of the magnetic poles, which also have shifted, as you know. The magnetic poles were not north and south at one time, they were east and west in this very planet. And they shifted gradually, they're still shifting. And they now become almost north and south, not exactly north and south. So the shift in these things takes place. So I took a globe, world globe, the map, and I dotted on that, put dots on that wherever known saints, mystics, and spiritual leaders have come. And I found that I could make about 1,500, 2,000 miles wide strip that goes from China down to the Australia and the Netherlands. So when I found that whole strip, most of them were there, and not in the West. The West was still believing in worshipping nature, worshipping these things, but not got those kind of mystics who taught the way within to the highest levels of consciousness. Then I said, if this whole thing shifts, where will it go? If you put it exactly across, you will find it covers basically Americas and North America particularly comes right in. And the United States is right in the center of that strip. So I was very happy at my own experiment. And then I found another strange kind of evidence how things might have been very different long ago also, which we don't know. In India, in the Himalayas, on the border with Tibet, there is an area called Lahaul and Spiti. Lahaul and Spiti are landlocked most of the year, and only for some time they are open. For 2-3 months they were open. Now, of course, they have made a lot of tunnels and so on. You can go in there. I was once responsible for the territory as a commissioner of that area, as part of my government job. When I went to Spiti, which is the base of that, the river flows at the bottom of the Spiti at 11,000 feet high, and the top of the mountains is 21,000 feet high, and so on. At the bottom of that to go over, you have to cross two passes, 14,000 feet and 14,500 feet, in order to go into that area. But when I went there, I saw horses, small horses, shining black, little pony-like horses, which when you ride on them, they do not gallop like other horses. You can take a cup of tea while they're galloping. And it is inbred in them. In Punjab in India, they tried to breed horses like that and they could not do them. It's very hard on the horse to be trained to move like that. I came to this country, I found in Peru here, in South America, the same kind of horses. Not only that, the dress the women wore in Spiti is the same dress with the same embroidery as the people in Peru over here in South America. I said, how is it possible? These are so far apart. They had no connection. So when I put a needle from running right through my globe, from Spiti, it came out in Peru. We have no idea what the entire history has been and how this planet has moved, shifted, populations have shifted, things have happened. Mystics have been coming all the time. We don't have records of them. Just because we have records of a very few mystics, therefore we know very little. But mystics have been there, things have been shifting. The current shift that is likely to happen is this. So, based on these predictions, and to thank and be grateful to my great master. And people ask me, how do you know all this? I told them, this is the source. everything I got from him. Knowing this, I thought I should also pay tribute to my master in this area. So the new building, an auditorium, a dera, I call Dera Baba Sawan Singh, named after my master. Like he named his dera, Dera Baba Jamal Singh. And we are setting it up in Bruce, Wisconsin. Why we are doing it there? Because when I studied the history of how the dera in India was located, I found that there was the Baba Jamal Singh, master of my great master, he was traveling in that area along the river, Beas, and along that river he saw a madman saying, "There'll be big thing, big construction here." And the master said, "This is the place." That's all. The madman waving his arms. And he said, "All right, this is the place." And that's where the dera is. It's grown so much now and attracts millions of people from around the world. So I said the same thing is going to happen in this country. So I also looked for a madman and a river. I didn't meet a fully madman, but I met a crazy guy. And I saw when we went to a river Chippewa, Ojibwa in Wisconsin, and we were at that place near the river, this guy began to dance the same way. I couldn't imagine that crazy guy dancing like this. So I said, this is the place. And that's where we have been, we are going to set up Dera Baba Sawan Singh. Of course, last year I mentioned that I wanted to build it myself. It was my desire. I wish I could lift the bricks or the mortar or the planks or the wood or whatever is needed myself. But the idea has come so late to me. I've become feeble at my age, and my hands have become feeble. I can't lift those things. In any case, I never did any construction work. So I said I need help. And people have been helping me from around the world. And people have been helping with their technical skills. People have been helping, architects, builders, others are helping. People have helped monetarily. They have given help. They have been sending help. And we set up a separate committee so that they can organize instead of by getting involved in the day-to-day construction. So I have handed over this to a construction committee headed by Paul Bauer. I hope he's here. Paul Bauer is there. Can you show your face, Paul? Can you stand up? Have a look at this man. He's the guy. He knows about subsoil structures, and he's a geologist from New Mexico and knows about these things. And then he has a team with him of builders who are experienced in building, excavations, and so on. So we have set up this, and I think he has set up a website or something on which you can make donations if you want to make donations in cash. I'll appreciate any help you give me. It will be helping my hands to pay tribute to my master. And how many of you would like to help with the technical knowledge, if you have any? Is there anybody who's technical knowledge? Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Anybody who wants to help in material? Thank you. Anybody who can help with cash? Or oh, cash is the highest. One of my partners used to say, cash is king. So maybe that. Okay, anybody who wants to know how to donate to this project can check with Paul or any one of his committee members. So I thought I'd mention this to you and to clarify what's going on. Somebody has mentioned to me that maybe we are losing the importance of the original work of this institute, that it was intended to be a sharing of information on human awareness and spiritual activities, and now we are going into multi-million-dollar buildings and so on. So it's a very big shift in the priority, in the very value that we attach to this. I want to clarify that too, to everybody. There is no shift at all in the spiritual nature of this organization or the work it is doing. Our priority is that we have to understand what spiritual path is, how to work for it, how to go within, what the role of a perfect living master is, and how we can all benefit from it. That continues to be the main aim to develop our human awareness to maximum extent, to go back entirely to our totality of consciousness, that has not undergone any change. If buildings are coming in, or we are thinking of making buildings, it's purely logistical. It's purely for the sake of accommodating ourselves to be able to hold meetings like these. So do not at all believe that there's any change at all in the objective of this organization or any function that was associated with the old ideas we were working with or this new idea. No change at all. Our goal is still spiritual advancement, sharing of knowledge of human awareness, and taking human awareness to its highest level, which is the level of totality of consciousness, which is our true home, which is our ultimate goal in spirituality, in the mystical path. So I am wanting to make it clear that some people might have misunderstood that just because a building is coming up, we have shifted from the spirituality to real estate. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. Okay, now, yesterday, I was talking to you about the role of meditation. Meditation is the most important thing when we are on the physical level. It is the beginning step on the spiritual path. If you do not meditate, you do not have any access to what is inside you. Meditation is the art of withdrawing your attention inside and seeing what's going on there. What's going on not in a physical body, but in the consciousness. When we withdraw our attention, we do not withdraw our attention into the body, we withdraw our attention into consciousness. The consciousness happens to be working in the body. It's just a matter of fact that today, at this time, in the physical bodies, the consciousness of the human being is operating from what looks like inside the body. That's the only thing. Consciousness is not confined to any place. There is a consciousness which is just the ability to be aware, which is operating from the body. We are using sense perceptions to get that awareness. But what we are aware of, how does that come about? We are seeing people, we are seeing things. How do we see them? How do we touch things? How do we smell? How do we have the sense perceptions? The belief is, and that's a very strong belief created by our experience, that there is a real world existing outside, there are real things existing outside, and we have come merely for a short period of time, 50, 100 years, 120 years, whatever our life is, that we've come for a very short time here, and the world has come long ago, we'll come for a short time, we'll go away, and the world will still be there. That's a very strong belief we have. That's the experience we have. We are ingrained with that experience, that the reality is all outside. And this has been the view of empirical scientists. This has been the view of materialists. This is the view of the materialistic philosophers, that there's a real world, and all that we experience here is we pick up sensory perceptions from the real material world, and the rest is all imaginary built into us. When people talk of higher experiences inside, they say just made up by the brain. The brain has a capacity to make anything it likes. Therefore, it's all imaginary. They believe that the reality continues to be outside, that you should study reality outside. This is one view. Then came a series of philosophers and mystics. And you can go back to a few thousand years earlier, when the Vedas in India were recorded by Ved Vyas, when he put that knowledge together, and he said that no, the reality is inside, that what we see outside is a projection. That the reality is not outside, looks real, but actually it's coming from inside, from consciousness. The experiencer is creating the experience and then experiencing at the same time. These people we call today as ideological philosophers, materialist philosophers as against ideological philosophers. These two groups of people have been fighting with each other, debating with each other for thousands of years now. One says, no, the outside is real. Other says, no, the inside is real and outside is an experience. You can challenge both of them. The materialist can challenge. There's no evidence. I was studying at Harvard University, and I was having these discussions with the professors of philosophy and psychology there. They would tell me, don't you believe that what you're talking about, inner experiences, is merely created by the power of suggestion? That if you suggest something strongly to somebody, hypnotic suggestion is well known, that you can make a strong suggestion to somebody, he'll be able to see all those things you talk about. So it is not real. And you think it is all real because it's just a suggestion, power of suggestion. Do you believe it is possible? I said, yes, I believe it. I believe that all the experiences I talk of could be created by the power of suggestion in consciousness. But I also believe that what you are seeing outside here is also created by the same process. Do you have any proof to disprove that? Can you disprove that if the power of suggestion can create such real experiences, more real than the physical world, then don't you think the same power can create the physical world also for you? Of course, they had no answer to this because there is no evidence at all that this cannot also be created by the power of suggestion. They said, what is the verification? How do you check these things? I said, the only way to check is to go to the source of experience. There's no other way. If you merely examine the experience, you can examine the experiences. There are people, there are things, there's a world, there's a planet, there are galaxies outside. Those are things outside. And then you are the one who's experiencing them. That doesn't mean anything unless you go to the source of the experience. There is no question that no sensory perception is existing outside of us. It's all being accepted inside by empirical science. Empirical science says that all the sensory systems are through our nervous system and the sense perceptions are through the nerve endings in our body. Let's take that example. How do you see? Take one sense perception, sight, vision. How do you see? The empirical scientists, outward material scientist says, there are things outside, rays of light fall on those things, and they carry parallel beams into your eyes, and the two eyes, the beams go, and they are made focused by the two aqueous and vitreous liquids in the eye, and then on the retina, which is extension of the optic nerve, they form an inverted image. And because the inverted image falls, the cones and other equipment in the retina itself is able to transmit that information to the brain through the optic nerve. In the brain, the optic nerve goes to the right area, and because it creates the right kind of vibration in that right area, which gets enlightened up and is able to see what is outside. And medical opinion is that. That's how we see. But if you are not conscious at that time, you don't see. If under anesthesia, if you are sleeping, you don't see. Even if your eyes are open, things are in front of you, your consciousness is not there, you don't see. They accept that. Then I put a counter question. Supposing the retina has the power to make images on itself. Supposing that was a natural gift given to us, that the retina can make pictures, would there be any difference in what we see than we see today? No, because the rest of the steps are the same. Supposing the retina doesn't make any pictures, it's the optic nerve that does it. Wouldn't the retina also have a picture and we see things outside exactly as they are? Supposing nothing is happening in the retina or the optic nerve, it's all happening in the section of the brain which sees. Wouldn't we see exactly as we are seeing now? Exactly, that's exactly how we see today. Supposing there is nothing happening in the brain, but the consciousness that picks up the last step, that itself can create it. If it creates an image, won't we see it exactly as we are seeing now? Of course we would. Then where is the question of how are you going to determine which is the causal direction? whether things happen there and therefore we see, or we see, therefore we are able to perceive what we are seeing. How do we determine? Easy answer was, it's a question of cause and effect. Whatever happens first must be the cause. What happens later would be the effect. If the consciousness picks up first and then we see, then consciousness creates the impression. If the things come first and then consciousness picks up, then things must be real outside. I said, let's see which comes first, which comes later. All studies have shown they are simultaneous. There's no time lag at all. When you see a tree, philosophers have been asking, do you see the tree because the tree is there? Or you're seeing the tree, therefore the tree is there? Does you have to have a tree? When you don't look at a tree, is it still there? They've asked these questions. That do we create all perceptions from inside or from outside? I said, just by trying to see the cause and effect relationship, you can never find out because they are simultaneous. Whatever applies to the vision also applies to every other sense perception. That we are simultaneously having the experience and simultaneously seeing things and experiencing them outside. There's no time lag between the two. They're simultaneous. Then the next step is, all right, let's go inside consciousness, not go inside the body, not go into the brain and see where the brain centers are for different sense perceptions. Go into consciousness. Oh, how do we do that? That they have never tried. The materialists and physical scientists haven't tried that. They don't even know where it is. One of our VIPs visiting India had an accident and got into a coma. Since he was a very important person, we got the best doctors, brain surgeons from around the world to treat him. And one of the surgeons who had done 1,000 operations on the brain from Canada, he came and while he was trying to see if the coma can be, is it permanent or is it going to revive or something, the boss, the chief minister of the state asked him, tell me, doctor, where does one become conscious from in the brain? He said, sir, we have been trying to find that out for thousands of years. I have done thousands of brain surgeries. I've opened up the brains of people, and we still don't know what causes consciousness. We know at a certain point we can put a laser beam and make a person unconscious. We can do these things. We know all the different parts of the brain. But where consciousness resides, we don't know. Because if we could clearly see that there is some section of the brain holding consciousness, and a person dies, that consciousness should disappear. Some physical evidence should be there that this part of consciousness, whether it's the pineal gland or the pituitary body, which appear to be responsible for some of the states of coma and so on, if we could find a change taking place in that, we could say that was consciousness, it has gone out. But there is no change at all. When we look at the brain of a dead person, physiologically it's intact, and yet the life has gone out. We really have no answer to where consciousness is. And medical science has not really gone that deep. They have been able to understand the absence of consciousness. They've been able to understand the different forms in which comas can take place, and you can have different kinds of experiences. But we do not know where consciousness is. We would love to learn more about it. And then that's exactly where the ideological philosophers came in. And they said there is a possibility to study consciousness. Don't only study the body. Don't study the brain. Go beyond it. Study consciousness. And to study consciousness, go into the origin of consciousness. That means you pull yourself and go and find out how it's working. Don't see the working of the brain. Work on your own consciousness. You go in and see where consciousness exists. How does it work? Pull yourself there. Now that's all the mystics have been saying, that by withdrawal of attention in meditation, you're able to go, shut your attention from flowing out. You don't think of things outside. You begin to see, where am I operating from? Who am I? The question is continuously the same. Who am I really inside in my consciousness? As a conscious being, who am I? When you put this question and search, you will have to go to the source of consciousness. The deeper you go, the more you realize how consciousness is creating the whole experience. And it's a very strange, in a way, startling revelation to us when we find that what looked so real and looked completely real to us was actually a creation of our own consciousness. This source can be traced. If you can trace the source and go deeper into it, you will find how different forms of people have appeared. Why do they look what they look like? What is our relationship? How was that created? What is the sequential events in time that have taken place to create different images which become real people for us? You understand what the law of karma is operating from? You understand how there's action and reaction going on out in consciousness, and we are seeing it outside like this. All the answers come to you. The deeper you go into meditation, the more you discover who you really are as consciousness. Because whether it's a materialist or it's an idealist, they all believe unless you are conscious, you can't know anything. It's only consciousness. When you're conscious, you can be conscious of anything, whether this world or any other world. So the secret lies in going within. It's not... when those people told me in the university that maybe you are making it up, I said, maybe I am. But I can tell you one thing, I told them. I am very happy and you are all despondent and in depression. I love making up something that can make me happy forever. So the truth of the matter is that this knowledge of who you are, and not only gives you knowledge, it gives you happiness. Because you find out the cause of unhappiness. Like you find the cause of all creation, like you find out how it's all being created, you also find the cause of unhappiness. You find out the cause of pain and pleasure. You find out the cause of duality. You find out everything. Every kind of knowledge of every subject lies within ourselves. And therefore, it is the meditation or going within is fundamental to understanding all this. It does not remain fundamental when you know a lot more about yourself. When you know that you are not the mind, that mind is merely an attachment. When you know you are not this body, the body is a cover, a costume you are wearing. When you know that you are not even a sense perceptions, that's another body you are wearing. These are simple costumes we are wearing to act in a big play set up by ourselves. We set up a great play, and then we wore different costumes to create the different masks, to create the characters that we wanted in that. These three bodies are different masks we are wearing in order to enact a play that we ourselves set up. We are the producers and directors of that play. And therefore, we have put ourselves in these costumes and put all other creation which we have created. There is nobody separate from anybody else. People like to talk, we are all one. That's just an intellectual concept, we are all one. They don't look like one. They don't behave like one. They don't think like one. How can we all one? It's an experience which only comes from within. That you are one only when you discover that the whole thing is being created by one. It's like going to sleep at night and having a dream. In the dream you meet 50 people and you check with all of them. Is it a dream or is it real? And they say, of course it's real. And you have to believe because 50 people are telling you it's real. Even if it's a dream, you are taking the evidence of those people who are in the dream, if it is real or not. And then you say, how can 50 of us be dreaming? If somebody says, no, it's a dream. You say, how can 50 of us be dreaming at the same time to have this experience? And we wake up. There was no 50 people. There was only one. Only one dreamer. And he dreamt and was 50 people in the dream. The 50 people didn't exist except inside that one. It's exactly the same thing. That we believe that there are so many. Where the many created from? The many has been created from the one by experience, by the state of dreaming. The Theosophical Society of Minneapolis once invited me to speak on dreaming. So I told them how we are having a dream within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. We have been dreaming within a dream 6 times. If we wake up, let's wake up 6 times also. Then we'll be fully awake and we'll find there's only one dreamer. There was only one dreamer at all times. And the dreams created the so many. And it's a series of dreams that creates that. How can we find out? If a person is sleeping and is having a dream, he's having a dream that he's carrying his horses to the stable. Let's say he's a man with horses and carries them to the stable. The man is carrying the horses to the stable and he wants to wake up. There's no way. Supposing there's another person awake. This man is lying in bed sleeping, dreaming of horses and taking them. Other person is awake. He nudges him and says, get up. Now, this man is still dreaming of horses. He can hear this guy nudging him. He says, hold on, who will hold my horses? He's still seeing the horses. And the man who is awake and nudging him says, don't worry, I will hold your horses. And he wakes up because he got assurance in the dream somebody is going to hold his horses. When he wakes up, is he going to ask him, where are my horses? He knows there were no horses. It was his dream. But the person who nudged him into wakefulness, he doesn't say, oh, I have got your horses somewhere. Because he knows that when he said, I will hold your horses, he was doing it to awaken that person. Awakened people, that means mystics, who are awakened to a different level of consciousness. They appear in the dream and they nudge us in the dream and they give us this nudge to wake up to a higher level. And they're different kind of nudges. And when they say, we'll help you in this world, yes, oh, I need to have a better job, I need this thing. We ask for all the things from this world. They say, yes, yes, we'll help you in that. And you wake up and find there was nothing at all like that. There was some other world opening up. It's the same thing. There is no difference. These mystics are giving us nudges to wake up. And they participate in our dream. They participate in our regular life. But they are awake. They know that we'll also wake up from this state and discover that this was not real, this was dreamlike. It does not become dreamlike till you wake up. People think that in their dream they can say, we know it's a dream. They cannot know it. If they know it, they are awake. They can say it's a dream. In a dream, one can say it's a dream. I have had those dreams. I know I ran about telling everybody, it's a dream, it's a dream. If it was really I knew, there are nobody to tell it's a dream. So I would, when I wake up, neither I am telling anybody nor there any other people. It was part of the dream. My telling people the truth. I was telling them the truth. It's a dream. And yet I did not know it was the truth because I was not awake. Therefore, you have to actually awake to know it's a dream. And then people say, how do you know that when you go to a higher level of consciousness, how do you know really it's a higher level of consciousness, not a lower level? How do you know it's a very intense, lucid dream that you're having? It may just be a dream and not a higher level of consciousness. So I give an example that when you go to sleep and have a dream and you wake up in the morning, how do you know you are awake? I have never seen any person getting up, awaking in the morning, pinching himself to see, am I awake? Asking anybody, come and tell me, am I awake? How does he know? How do you know when you are awake in the morning that you are awake? What makes you so certain? Supposing a person comes and says, you are not awake, you are still dreaming. You say, no. If 1,000 people came in the morning and told you, no, you are still dreaming, you are not awake, you will not believe them. The experience of wakefulness carries so much certainty, nobody can challenge it. What's the reason? What's the secret? That you can be so certain that you have woken up. The reason is simple, that when you wake up, you remember that you went to sleep. It's as simple as that. If you forgot that you went to sleep, you'll never know when you are awake and when you are dreaming. We reconnect with another level of consciousness, the wakeful consciousness. When we go to sleep and have a dream, when we wake up, we reconnect with what happened before we went to sleep. And that is such a convincing proof of your being awake. You don't need any other proof from anybody. It's the same thing, identical thing, when you wake up to a higher level of consciousness. When you go to a higher level of consciousness, you reconnect and you find you were always there. That this life that you had here was only a small interruption in your life there. And that gives you a certainty of wakefulness which nothing else can give. It's not that you get evidence from outside or you have to look for somebody else to tell you if you are awake or not. You know it by yourself. There are some things which carry such heavy proof by their very existence that no other proof can ever change it. One is that you exist. If people say you don't exist, how can they say that? Your entire experience, your being there, is proof of itself. Now, nobody needs proof of existence, that you exist. Similarly, nobody needs proof that one has woken up and that one has ended one's sleep. In the same way, when you go to a higher level of consciousness, you need nobody's proof except your own wakefulness that you are really awake to a higher level of consciousness. These levels are not merely just glimpses of something. They awaken you to a life that you have been leading for a long, long time. They awaken you. If you awaken second time, you are able to see the entire series of lives that you have lived. You can see not only this physical life that you had, one dream, you can see all the dreams preceding it. You can even see what is programmed for the future dreams of you. You can see this life and past lives and future lives. If that is the possibility, where does this all happen then? How can you get this kind of straightforward, convincing knowledge, personal knowledge, by going within? Therefore, see the importance of meditation. See the importance of going within and checking out everything. There is no external verification that can ever match your going within and experiencing what the reality is. Of course, there's one difficulty, that if you experience reality and come back into this state, it's very difficult to explain it to people. That's a very big, it's a problem for the mystics. They could never explain, so they had to make stories fitting in with the dream. They tell the whole story of higher consciousness, they tell the story of ultimate oneness by making stories right here, because that's all we can understand here. We understand physical stories. So they make the whole thing look like a physical story. But actually what happens is not possible to explain. Even the yogis who went only to the astral and causal stages, when asked to comment on how does it compare, what does it look like, does it look like the trees and the lakes and all this here, they said nothing of the sort. How can you explain that the embodiment of the soul, which looks like living things here, including human beings, that the embodiment of a soul can be ideas, can be concepts, can be shapes. Now, how would I say, well, I went up to the causal stage and a great meeting with a triangle. I mean nothing here. How can a triangle is not a living person? But when I met the triangle, it was not one triangle. It was all the possible triangles you could ever make. It could be the whole universe created from triangles. And that one triangle was all the triangles. How can I explain it? How can anybody understand it? Therefore, it's these yogis, when they were asked to describe what they experienced, they said, neti, neti. Not this, not this, not this. They couldn't find anything to compare with. That this is something, that there is nothing existing here to compare with those experiences. And yet, as human beings, sitting here, all of us, have the ability to see all this personally, experience it, and know how the worlds have been created, reflection upon reflection. One world reflected into another, third one reflected, becoming slightly different every reflection. These are the levels of consciousness. If you ascend stage by stage, one level after another, all the answers of all the questions come up. You don't have to ask anybody anything. The entire knowledge, possible knowledge, is inside you. Each one of us is carrying this huge, ultimate knowledge inside. There is nobody specially gifted who alone has that knowledge. Please understand, this is a gift given to all human beings. There is no question of any nationality, caste, color of the skin, language you speak, the clothes you wear. It has no significance in that. It doesn't require any particular religion to follow, or any particular society to follow, any particular group to follow. You can follow no group and still find spirituality within you. Therefore, remember, this spiritual path is not a group or a society or something. Do not associate. People are very quick to make small groups. The perfect living masters have never set up a religion, never made a group. They came for humanity. They said the truth is in all of us. We have made groups after that. Look at the history of every religion. I spent a year studying this comparative religion, again at Harvard, the great library. They are carrying all the books in the Widener library. And I found that all religions have come from spiritual teachers who gave the teaching for all humanity, called all human beings as children of the same Creator. And yet we have made small groups and say, that's my God, that's not your God. My God is real, yours is not real. I mean, we are confining ourselves into smaller and smaller groups. Even if people are following one great master of the past. Look at Christianity. Christ came. Today, the 16 denominations I studied following Christ. Christian churches. I'm a Baptist, I don't go to that church. I'm Methodist, I don't go there. I am so-and-so. And I saw a book prepared by somebody. He says, I found the ultimate Bible. I said, let me see. I saw a Bible that says we have taken quotations from 14 Bibles. So I can't believe it. We are following the same. Look at the Muslim, Islam. Prophet Muhammad is one. Allah is one. God is one. And Shias and Sunnis, because of a slight difference in belief or what happened after Muhammad, killing each other every year. In India, before Pakistan was formed, every year during celebrations, they would kill each other in the name of the same God. We have seen this happen. Christian crusades, look at them. What happened? What do we do? Spiritual teachings are for everybody. They teach love. All of them teach love for mankind. And what do? We break into small groups and we make it like it is only meant for us. So we are trying to build things in a dream-like state in this world, forgetting that the truth lies somewhere and is common for all. At least meditation in the guidance of a perfect living master gives us access to truth that takes us beyond these things. Then you find there's no division. These perfect living masters, they've never cared for what group you belong to. When you see perfect living masters, people come from all over. They follow different groups and they still come to a perfect living master. Because there is no group with him. It's not a group at all. It's not a particular society. It's the path. The path is universal for all mankind. And that is why this is encouraged, that if you want to find the truth, go within. Meditation is important. When does it become not important? Now that's also another question. Now don't put the cart before the horse and say, okay, we want to go to the next step. Meditation is too difficult. And some people do that. It becomes unimportant when your love and devotion and faith becomes unshakable. When your faith is unshakable and has come through experiences, miracles that you have seen both inside and outside, and comes to a stage that is unshakable faith, then you are relying upon a joint journey with the Master inside. Nothing is needed except the companionship of the Master. Now that stage comes. But it can't come right in the beginning when the mind has all kinds of questions and doubts. You have to resolve them. One big difference between the teachings of perfect living masters and the teachers who are there preaching in religions is the preachers don't allow you to question what they are teaching. They say, this is the text, this is the scripture, accept it. Even, you can't question. Sometimes they consider it a sin to question. Perfect living masters say, question everything. They say, unless you question, you will never proceed forward. You will never make any advance. Because if you have a question in your head and you don't get an answer, that question will nag you all the time. It will never make you have any progress. You have to get your question answered. Therefore, the perfect living masters have always said, get your questions answered. Get this doubting mind out of the way. And unless that is out of the way, you will not make progress in meditation. So there's a big difference in the way religion approaches and spirituality approaches the seeker. So here I am talking of the teaching of a perfect living master who says all questions are welcome and you must ask questions. Of course, every person here, because of different karma, different destiny, different life that we are leading, different events packed into our life, we are all different here. Our souls may be the same, the spirit is the same, our life is different. The life has become different because of the covers we are wearing. Our minds are different. Our sense perceptions are different. Our bodies are different. These costumes are different. Therefore, we are different. We look different. Because we are different and we are starting a journey here with these differences, a perfect living master who is dealing with us at this level does not have the same teaching for the same person. It looks like it's a common teaching. But when it comes to advancement to higher levels of consciousness, he sees this person is at this stage and needs this kind of input. This person is at that stage, needs another kind of input. This person has worked in a past life over meditation for a long time and willing to move on to the next grade. The teaching of a perfect living master for us is customized for us. And we sometimes don't see that. We say, how did he say that to one person and that to another person? It looks like contradiction. But it is according to the package of karma, destiny, preparedness, readiness of each individual that the master handles it. So, master knows more about ourselves than we know ourselves. We don't realize it. We say, does the master understand what's going on in my mind? All kind of questions come to us when we meet a master. Master understands us better than we understand ourselves. Because we see very little of ourselves. We've forgotten what we were in childhood. Forget about the last life or previous lives. We know so little about ourselves. And Master looking at us and seeing several lifetimes at once, just by looking at us. So he's seeing something very different and knows more about us, what we need, when we need it. So, a man came to Great Master once and brought his young teenage daughter, or daughter just growing up. And he said, Master, my daughter wants to go to college and I want her to be married. And Great Master said, what's the difference between daughters and sons? They all are entitled to go to college. Send her to college. So he said, thank you, Master. They went away. Within 5 minutes, another father comes with his teenage daughter, almost the same case, and says, Master, my daughter wants to go to college and we want to get her married. He says, what have daughters to do with education? Their education is in the home. Get her married. I was present to see this. How can he give two different answers to two different people coming at the same time? But their karma is different. He can see much more that this person requires a different answer. People read letters. There are books containing letters from the master, and a letter written to somebody else on one particular item they try to apply to themselves. It may be entirely intended for that person. How can you know that masters who say different things to different people based on their destinies applies to everybody? Of course, if it was merely a theoretical teaching, it would apply to everybody. Perfect living masters are not coming with any theoretical teaching. They are coming to take our souls, our real selves back home. That's their purpose, not to teach anything. Teaching is for our mind. They teach because the mind wants to be taught. That's all. Therefore, at a certain stage, all these things that are teaching, understanding, even meditation, becomes obsolete on the way to our true home. But that comes at a certain time. So do not try to figure out your own progress by watching anybody else. You must watch your own progress yourself. Each person has an individual path that you are taking based upon your background, what you have gone through, what kind of different practices you have had. Most of the people who come to a perfect living master have had masters before, have had some experiences before. And that's what makes them ready for that. And therefore, all those experiences which are different from different people count towards what the next step is which the master indicates to them. So do not think there's a uniform rule for uniform answers. If there were, they could all be recorded in a book, and you just had to go and read the book, what am I supposed to do? It doesn't work like that. There are no uniform answers, and therefore each person has to be guided according to what that person needs at that time. And one person may be told one thing, one another. We sometimes carry a very heavy load of stuff that's called guilt. I want to tell you a little bit about that. Because most of us have done things which make us feeling guilty. I think that's one of the biggest burden we carry. The guilt, I did something wrong, I'm so sorry, how can I do anything? And you carry that guilt and make your life impossible. You make your spiritual life difficult. That's why guilt should not be carried at all. It should be left behind. And where people believe in the law of karma, it's easy. That was my karma, it's over. Here people try to, psychologist people, others try to say, forget the past, live in the future, move on. They use these kind of words. But guilt is something that really holds us back. So there should be no feeling of guilt. What has happened has happened. You proceed with your meditation, cutting the past off and saying that what has happened has happened. You can't change it. If you could, of course, go back into the past and change it. And you'll find you can't change it if you go back to the past. You'll still do the same thing and feel guilty again. Then you'll feel more guilty. Therefore, do not try to go back into that. Live in the present and the future. Live in something that's happening now. Past is gone. It was lived through. It was recorded. It was like that. It was supposed to be like that. Everything is supposed to be like that. You have to move on from there. So I am mentioning this because the guilt that we carry of doing things, that is an extra burden and comes in the way of meditation. So when you want to meditate and get something, clean your slate by saying, past is past, I am not going to go over it. I have to start now and move forward. All previous things, whatever they were, are past. If they were a payback, I have paid back. If I were to receive something, I have received that. It's over now. And now I start from a clean slate from today. I'm mentioning this because when I meet people and they explain to me their problems, I find that they're carrying a very huge burden of guilt with them, which is interfering in their meditation. So this is just a little tip for you that must push the past back. Do not live in the past. There was a Chinese philosopher who said that if we live in the past, we are always regretful, remorseful, full of guilt. If we live in the future, we are anxious. If you live in the present, you are at peace. And good advice, that you live in the present, live in the now, as they say, and enjoy what comes in front, and have faith that there is somebody who's going to take care of our future. Past is over. Goodbye past, future is being taken care of, I'm enjoying my present. If you are in that state, you will be the best meditators. The best meditation comes from that state of mind. And therefore, be just careful not to live in the past. A lot of people live in the past. Keep on remembering what happened. Oh, I could have done better. I could have changed that. Take it from me, you couldn't have done better. You did what you could do. You did what you had to do. Why are you trying to say you could have done it better? In any case, you're not going to get a second chance. You won't go back to do anything. Therefore, relieve your mind of this. I'm saying this because when you try to pull your attention inside, these are the kind of things that pull you out, more than simple attachments. Some people think we are attached to things, therefore we are pulled out. That's one thing. But living in the past pulls you even more. Those memories come back again and again, and they don't allow you to concentrate your attention within. So that's why it's a simple tip. Another tip. You must not put any pressure on yourself, on your head, on your body, on your spirit, on anything when meditating. It's not a forceful thing. It's not a Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is yoga of stubbornness. That's what Hatha means. I hope you know that Hatha yoga. Hatha means stubborn, to be stubborn. I will do it, no matter what. You never get anything by that. It is called this one, the yoga we're talking of, the sound current, so Srut Shabd yoga, is called Sahaj yoga. Yoga of gentleness, relaxation. It's a relaxing system. When you want to meditate, relax. When I say sit behind the eyes, take a nice, comfortable chair, if necessary, a rocking chair. They've given me a rocking chair to help meditate myself, I guess. You have a very relaxing chair. Relax in it. The only requirement is to feel you are there. Not that you are stressed out how to put the attention, how to do this. The more stress you put, the more you confine yourself to the body. Therefore, do not stress yourself. And do not put force. I want to see what's going on. And you try to push through your head and get a headache. Meditation is supposed to take away headaches, not give you a headache. And people put so much strain on their head, they get a headache. Nor are you supposed to turn your physical eyes backwards to see what is inside. You're not going to see with the physical eyes anyway. So to put this stress, I'm trying to turn my eyes backward to see inside. People try these things. So I am telling you, they do not work. They have never worked. I tried all this stuff. It was useless. Therefore, just relax and be inside this nice chamber. It's an imaginative exercise. Imagination is pulling your attention there. If you imagine you are sitting on top of this building, you can feel you are there. Your attention is going there. It's the same thing. You imagine you are sitting inside your head, and just by imagining you are there in the center of this head, in this body, you're just up there. Imagining you are there, you can see things are in front of you, they're far away. These are expanding things there. Very relaxing. You could be relaxed in a few minutes just by sitting there. You can have experiences if you have no stress, if you have no thoughts of the past, if you have no attachments, you'll get an experience just by relaxing there and doing nothing else. I can just tell you that. Therefore, do not change this method of meditation into something physical. It's not physical at all. It just starts with a certain part of the physical body, which happens to be the seat of consciousness when we are awake. It's just a matter of fact at this time that our consciousness is operating from the head inside, behind the eyes. It's not that it will always be there. In fact, you will discover pretty soon that the body you are creating around that space, including the head, is a creation from consciousness inside. Consciousness is more real than the entire body around it. That the whole experience of the body and the world is being created from consciousness, which is at this time appears to be behind the eyes. So, no stress to be put on. Relax in the best atmosphere inside, and you will enjoy it more. You want to try? Now? Okay. First, relax your physical body in such a way that it becomes like a mansion. That is important, upright. I don't want tilted houses to live in or slanted houses to live in. I saw one, there is a casino in Las Vegas, which is built on the Egyptian model of a pyramid, and it's called Luxor, I think, it's based on Egyptian name. And because the walls are like this tilted, they don't have any elevators there. They're inclinators. They call them inclinators. They go inclined like this. But in meditation, we should have elevators, not inclinators. The body is straight up, and there are all the chambers below us operating the system. We are sitting there, all the machines are working, and energies are working, and the heart and all other organs are working below. We are sitting behind the eyes, and very relaxed here, the chair, and we're just having a good time thinking of our beloved, seeing the beloved, talking to the beloved with love and devotion. And when thoughts come, squeezing them out by repetition of our mantra. And when other pictures come, they replace them with the picture of our beloved. If we can do that, you'll start moving, having experiences right there. Try. Close your eyes. Sit in a relaxed state behind the eyes. Keep your eyes closed till I count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes. Welcome back. How many of you enjoyed this session? Very good, very good. We are having good progress. How many of you felt more relaxed? Very good. That's how it should be. That's exactly how it should be. It's a very relaxing experience. So much so that if you do relaxing meditation for a couple of hours at night, you won't need much sleep. It's a great experience you will find. That people who meditate like that, they don't need too much sleep. And if you sleep less, talk less, eat less, meditate more, you'll be very successful. Just remember this. Eat less, sleep less, talk less, and meditate more. And you'll be very successful. Any questions at this time? Yes.
I have 3 questions.
Very good questions. You all heard the questions. I'll take them one by one. First, yes, it is reverse engineering. It is reverse travel. The way we descended from level to level, the same way we ascend back level to level. The way we created different experiences when descending to this level, the same we have the ascent from stage to stage, level to level. The way we went to sleep and had a dream, and had a dream within a dream, and a dream within a dream, same way we awake from one dream to another dream, awake from another dream, ultimately we are awake. It's exactly the reverse process of how we descended. Now, second question about the karma. If cause and effect are taking place at the same time, there can be no karma. Cause and effect take at the same time above the mind. The mind splits cause and effect into time and space. It becomes karma. The soul has no karma. The soul is in a state where there is no time and no space, so there is no karma. Karma comes when we artificially, through the mind at that stage, create time and space and separate what looks like cause and effect, and then it becomes karma. So it's a state of devolution of experience at that level that the mind can create this separation between cause and effect. Not only the mind creates the separation between cause and effect and create karma, it causes separation of experiences. It makes 1 into 2, into 5, into millions. That's how we are so many people here, is the mind's work to separate so much. The mind always tries to separate things, to break them apart, and that's its function. That machine works like that. So the karma comes from there. And finally, what was your...
Imagination.
Yeah, about imagination. Imagination is a function of the astral plane. It's a function of sensory perceptions. It's powered by the mind. The mind is powered by the soul. Soul is consciousness. Unless you make something conscious, it doesn't operate. The mind as a machine within time and space, it works with the power of the soul. The mind then empowers the senses to have experiences. Imagination, which imagines things in perception, like sense perceptions, is a function of the astral body of ours. Imagination of things which are not through perception, like concepts, are directly from the mind. So there are two kinds of imagination. For example, imagination of a thing like beauty. Now, we understand beauty, and then we try to say, what is beauty? We look at beautiful things. First thing happened at the mind, second at the senses. So imagination takes place to start with at the mind and is spelt out and actual experience for us at the astral plane through the sense perceptions. Because we always imagine things. We imagine people. We imagine something that has come to us by sensory experience. So that comes to the astral stage. And we do not really imagine fully the concepts. We quickly transfer them either to ideas or to actual perceptions. So there are three stages. There's a concept, which is mental. There's idea, which is a transition from the concept into perception. And then there are actual perceptions, which are divided up into different sense perceptions. You cannot imagine hearing and seeing at the same time. You can't, but you can actually experience it though. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine seeing music. You can hear music and you can see light. You can see a pattern being made up of music. But you cannot say, I am seeing music. But in meditation, you'll be able to see music directly without having to see any diagrams of it or any pattern of it. So the division of an idea into different perceptions is taking place at the astral level, and that's responsible for imagination of things which are separated in senses. But imagination is a faculty. It still operates from the mind and works through this, and then we bring it down to the physical level. Then we want to imagine something, we imagine physical things. And therefore we confine our imagination to limited things. If you have an inner experience of the astral plane, you will imagine all people shining with illumination coming from them. We don't imagine that. I want to imagine a person, I imagine him in a physical form. If I were to imagine at the astral level, I'll see the person shining with light, because that's what the person looks like at the astral plane. Every person looks like that. Everything looks like that. So therefore, imagination functions slightly differently at every level, just like consciousness does. Consciousness is operating to create a physical experience for us, creates an astral experience there, creates a causal mental experience, and ultimately it's just the creator of all experiences. So at every level of devolution of consciousness, we have had slightly different forms in which it absorbs experience.
And what causes a very active imagination of things that are not of this planet, that you don't see here, but you imagine, like I imagine things that are not here in this plane?
You're pulling them from another plane. A lot of imagination that comes to us is not from this plane, but from the astral plane. Poets write poetry. They're inspired from somewhere. It's not here. They're inspired from the astral plane. People are writing, making paintings, and they don't even know what they paint, and it's there. I was once taken many years ago in the 60s to an astral painter, and she was a very old lady, about 80 years old lady, and she was in California and Palm Beach area, some area there, and she did all astral painting. Whatever she painted was what she saw inside, and that was not physical. And yet it was imagination, which she couldn't see anything outside, but she saw it and imagined it and painted it. So, and she always felt that the painting didn't do full justice to what she was imagining, which is true. You can't always put down in description or in painting or in writing what you are imagining. Imagination can sometimes go beyond that. Yes. If you remember the beloved, if you remember the master, if you remember whoever you love, and think of that over and over again, not in terms of an intellectual picture of that person, but in terms of actual experience with that person, love and devotion grows. You should be able to remember where you met, what happened, what conversation you had, what did you say, what did you eat with him, what did you do with him. If you remember the actual memories of that person, love and devotion grows in you. Yes. Astral body.
And so you can.
But is born by the physical body, comes from the astral body.
And you can cure that physical illness in the astral. I'm sorry. You can cure the astral disease.
Yes.
From the.
Yes.
And related to that question, what's the deal with doctors? So you run you go from doctor to doctor until finally you get better. Is it because of karma, or who is curing, the doctor or part of the karma or the master?
Both. The doctor is the excuse outside. The treatment is on the astral body. It comes and is experienced by us on the physical body. The rest is just an excuse. Sometimes you go to a doctor and he gives you a prescription and you feel better without filling the prescription. Who cures you? Who takes care of you? So most of the illness that we have is arising from the astral self and is cured from the astral self. The physical is a supplement to that only. Physical is minor supplement. Yes, 2 questions now, last 2 questions. We'll then meet again for more questions.
I have 2 questions. When you were talking about us dreaming, imagining 50 people in the dream, and then waking up and knowing that there's only one dreamer, who is the ultimate dreamer of this?
The ultimate dreamer is the totality of consciousness.
And is that dream, like we're not aware that we're dreaming most of the time in our dream. Sometimes we are. We know it's a dream in the dream. But we're not aware most of the time. Is the ultimate dreamer always aware that it's dreaming?
Yes.
Okay, then my next question is, if it is aware that it's dreaming, well, why does it want to dream torture?
Because when it creates torture, it can compare the dream with pleasure of different kinds. It creates the opposite of every experience in order to have the experience. And knows it's a dream, therefore doesn't mind creating a torture.
Right, it doesn't matter because there's no real torture.
It would be torture if it was real torture.
Okay.
But for the dreamer, it's not. One who is aware of it.
Okay.
Yes.
My next question is very practical. I'm not an easy fantasizer. I've never fantasized. And when I try to imagine myself sitting somewhere, I have a lot of trouble seeing myself anywhere. And I cannot, and keeps happening because I don't want to strain, is that I see myself on the comfortable chair at home, then I see the whole home, and then, I'd like to just see me, not the whole thing.
You should be able to say, I am making a move from my home to a new home here. And say, I am making a move. I can see that home, but I want to place that chair back here now. I want to move things. And you actually imagine moving the chair and bringing it there and putting it there. It'll be easier for you to do it.
And then the surrounding will go.
That surrounding will go, the new surrounding will come up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, Boris. Last question of this session. The power of consciousness is totally unlimited. The power of consciousness is so unlimited. When it creates reality, and it creates all these different kind of realities, it does not create illusions. It does not create shadows. The power of consciousness creates something that it itself experiences as reality. It doesn't want to experience game playing and shadow playing. It wants to experience what is real. So it makes sure that it puts all the elements into what it is experiencing to create the element of reality. Reality for it means that within itself, within the dream, all parts of it should so fit in with certain laws. The laws of creation should operate in such a way that makes more and more real. Then it introduces pain in the process to make it even more real. If there was no pain, this life would not be as real as it is. So there's many elements it puts in that you can go deep into examining every particle of what has been created. It's got molecules and small kind of particles, and therefore you keep on studying those and get more immersed in the dream. It becomes real. You go into larger scale, the galaxies, and go beyond into infinite universe. Go on examining more and more. Every year, more is being discovered. There are billions of galaxies today, and we know there are many billion more which still to be seen, so it makes more real. So the consciousness has the power to create all elements of reality. It's the only power that's creating everything and is manifesting like that. So the elements it puts into its imagination are those which should make it look more real, more real, more real. That's what's happening. Okay, we'll have a little break now. I'm having a slightly earlier break because there are some people leaving today and they will not get a chance to have an interview. I'm going to set apart a small amount of time for them to have the interviews, and then we'll have a break for lunch. But we'll meet again at 3 o'clock here.
Okay.
Thank you.